The Secret Origins Podcast, Episode 2. Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Secret Origins Podcast. I am your host, TFG1 Mike, and I am joined by Lupus Convoy. Hello.
Hello, good sir.
How are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Oh, well, we are actually recording this on the evening of my 30th birthday. It will not air until a week after I've turned 30. But, I think I've mentioned before on this show, or I know I've mentioned on the other Geekcast radio podcast, I'm no longer single. I do have a girlfriend now, and she spoiled the hell out of me for my birthday. Unfortunately, none of the presents got here yet. So, I'm getting the rest of the currently released G.I. Joe Mighty Mugs from BBTS. I am getting a Flip Minnow HD video camera and the PS3 60 gig backwards compatibility PS3 thing from GameStop. Everything else is pretty much going according to the way it's supposed to go, except for GameStop. They needed her to verify her information, and the account status still says that it's verifying when we're supposed to have gotten overnight shipping. And she ordered it like 4 days ago.
Is that how it always works?
I don't have any idea. This is the first time I've ever had anyone or even myself order anything from GameStop.com, so I don't know how the hell they work stuff. But yeah, I'm 30 years old. I'm already missing my 20s, damn it.
It's not that bad.
Yeah,
Says the guy who's 28.
Yeah, so you have 2 years left. Bastard.
Aha.
So what's been going on with you this week?
I got a clean bill of health from the doctors, and I've been spoiled rotten by my other half giving me the Indigo and Blue Lantern action figures from DC Universe.
Cool.
So I am ecstatic. Other than that, I've been buried up to my neck in biology and anatomy, and that's pretty much my life.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right. Well, I guess without any other news items coming up, we will get into some episodes.
Enjoying the view?
Getting rid of me won't make the people of Atlantis serve you.
I know. That whole lineage thing could get messy. Fortunately, I have a solution.
What do you mean? No!
A pity. The young prince will be yet another innocent victim of the surface dwellers' aggression. Sadly, that will also make me the rightful heir to the throne. Well, I'm off to avenge your deaths.
First up today on the Secret Origins podcast is The Enemy Below Part 1. To synopsize this episode, a U.S. Navy submarine is on patrol beneath the ocean when it happens too close to an armada from Atlantis. The Atlantean ships attack and the submarine sinks to the ocean's floor. Aquaman, captaining the lead ship, coldly orders it abandon. The Justice League leads a rescue and retrieval team to the submarine before the crew suffocates, where they confront Aquaman and his troops. Aquaman grudgingly allows them to rescue the crew, but says that the submarine is now his property. Green Lantern angrily objects, saying that the submarine's nuclear material is too dangerous, but Superman says that they have to rescue the crew before it is too late. And again, this just goes to show you, and I'm just kind of stopping here with the synopsis, but it just goes to show you, while I do agree with Green Lantern, as far as, yeah, we don't need them having nuclear stuff, just the way he went about it, it was just that brash Marine, I'm right, you're wrong thing.
Yep.
He urges Aquaman to visit the surface world and to air his grievances before the upcoming conference of the world leaders. Aquaman is skeptical but promises to consider the suggestion. Back in Atlantis, he listens to the counsel of his brother Orm and the head of his military, General Brack, both whom say Atlantis has the technology and the manpower to wipe out the surface world. He refuses to listen to them. In private, he confers with his queen, Mira, wow, she's hot, and looks fondly at his baby son. Above all, he wants to make it safe and prosperous kingdom for his son, but wonders whether there isn't a peaceful way to do it. Aquaman goes to the surface and visits the World Conference. Unfortunately, his approach is less than diplomatic, which is very true. He arrogantly insists that the surface nations must cease their intrusion into the pollution of the oceans. Outraged, the world leaders say he is being unreasonable, and he walks out in anger. Superman tries to convince him to stay and be more moderate. Aquaman continues to walk out. Just then, a sniper fires a bazooka rocket which hits the pavement in front of Aquaman, gravely injuring him. And even though we don't see who this sniper is, it'll be revealed a little bit later. Aquaman is rushed to the hospital in critical condition where they are unsure of how to treat him. And then, of course, Batman appears and orders that he should be moved to a saline water tank, which allows his natural healing abilities to work. I find it funny that Batman is sulking around a hospital room in the shadows. And then as soon as you see, I don't know if it's his voice coming up and then his foot steps out, or if his foot steps out and then he starts talking, but you hear in the background, I don't think it's the BTAS theme, but it's it's just like some sort of heroic theme for Batman, and it's like, holy crap, where the hell did Batman come from? Back in Atlantis, word comes that Aquaman has been injured, possibly killed. Let's see, crap. They take that way too easily. They don't really look into that too much. Let's see. Orm reassures Mira and assumes the crown and royal trident in his brother's absence. The League decides to try a ruse to catch Aquaman's would-be assassin, putting the word out that they are moving Aquaman to a specialist facility. As they wait for the assassin to try again, and he reveals himself, Deadshot. He realizes that he's been fooled. The Aquaman on the gurney is Jean in disguise, and he has a well-prepared escape plan in place. The real Aquaman decides that he is recovered enough and is returning to Atlantis immediately, over Green Lantern's objections. Which, yeah, John got cold-cocked. That was one big...
He deserved it, though. He deserved it.
True, but... It's a good thing, and I'm kind of spoiling the plot of the second part of the episode, but it's a good thing Aquaman didn't have his hook hand yet. Because that would have really...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that would have been really messy. After a long, hard chase through the sewers and then the streets, Deadshot is finally caught by Superman. He admits casually that someone hired him to kill Aquaman, but refuses to say who. Batman takes over the interrogation. A few seconds later, Deadshot cracks. He doesn't know the name of his employer, but he was paid in gold. Actually, he was paid in Spanish doubloons. They look at the gold, antique coins, and crosses, obviously salvaged from sunken ship. And I gotta bring up, I didn't do this in the first episode, but I'm going to do it in this episode. I'm going to try to find the best quote out of each episodes that we're watching. Like, I'm going to try to find the one that I like the most, and it'll be the quote of each podcast episode. And the quote that I got for this one was that scene where Batman takes over. And
but you can't quote something you can't hear.
No, but that's not the quote, though. The quote is the fact that...
What did he say? You don't want to know?
Yeah, because we don't want to know.
But we
exactly. And of course, only Superman could hear that. I kind of wish we would know, just to know, but...
I vaguely remember somebody saying something about that in an interview, but I really don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Aquaman returns to Atlantis and is stunned to see Orm sitting on the throne. Orm says he is sick of Aquaman's tolerance for the surface dwellers and has decided to take matters into his own hands. Brack's soldiers surround Aquaman and imprison him. Mira is told he is still missing, but begins to suspect Orm.
Wow.
This is the first true underwater adventure for the Justice League. At least for this cartoon.
Honestly, when I first saw this, when it originally aired, I was like, oh great, now they're going to add Aquaman to the team. Woohoo! What's he going to do? He's going to talk to fish! Yeah!
No, this, since you bring that up, this Aquaman design is not the normal, at least it's not the one I remember from Super Friends.
It's not the old school Super Friends. This is definitely the old, like, oh my god, I cut my own arm off, I've got a harpoon for a hand, rah!
Yeah. Actually, it's funny, even before he gets his hand cut off, which actually happens in the second part of the episode, or the second episode of this two-part, but when I first saw him on the throne in Atlantis with the trident, I'm thinking, holy crap, where's Ariel? Because King Trident's right there. From The Little Mermaid.
Right. I saw that and I'm like, why do they have a trident from, like, Poseidon or something like that?
Yeah. And of course, one of my other notes is Wonder Woman sympathizes with Aquaman since they're both royalty. I mean, she can see his position where Green Lantern can't.
But at the same time, like, they're not playing up that factor.
Right.
And there's the point where he barges into the assembly and he's about ready to leave, and she's like, wait, stop! And then nothing. And he's just like, what? Shoves her out of the way. And I'm like, you really shouldn't have shoved her out of the way, but I can understand your frustration there, Arthur, because you're kind of like, what? Stop? Why? Okay, I'm looking for something here, but there's nothing.
Yeah. There's one exception to my next note, and that exception is the television show Sequest DSV.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm not usually a fan of underwater anything on TV or film, but they pull it off very nicely here. I remember, I don't know if it was for this show or other shows, Bruce Timm has said it is very hard to animate, it's very hard to show water in animation. And I think they pull it off very well here.
It wasn't that bad, actually. I was interested to see that when they're doing the sonar blips, it looked like Sequest or another giant kraken. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, really? They're thinking it's a boat? How do they know it's a boat? Kind of looks like a squid to me.
Yeah. And again, like I said in the synopsis, Aquaman sucker punching GL. Ha!
Yes. And I think prejudice is a definitely good word for what his motivation is in all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not off to a great start in the beginning, but as it goes through the episode, it's like, yeah, he really just has an axe to grind for some reason. I mean, Atlantis isn't Iran. You don't have to worry about them having, like, plutonium. Really, it's okay.
Yeah, very true, very true. And then I got two more notes here, and then you can go into yours, but
okay.
I was like, oh, Deadshot. Wait, who? But
I love
anyway,
Deadshot.
but anyway, Michael Rosenbaum voiced him, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Future Lex Luthor.
Yes. No, current Lex Luthor. This
Yes,
started
at the
in
time when this came
2001.
out.
Smallville 2. I'm trying to think if this came out first or Smallville did. I don't remember. I don't know. They both came out in 2001, so. Overall, I think it's because it's an underwater story, and I don't really like those outside of Sequest. The other thing, I didn't really like the Aquaman design. It wasn't what I was used to seeing. I understand what they were going for, where, Bruce Timm specifically says, because there is a commentary on, I believe, this episode on the DVD set that, he said that they were going for, instead of Aquaman being like King Arthur, they're making him more as the Barbarian, which is fine. That's the way they decided to go. So, what do you have to say about part 1 here?
Oh my god, I got a ton. Okay. So, going through, they just jump out of the Javelin in the middle of the fight. I'm like, really, who's piloting this thing? Does it have an autopilot? Because it's just kind of going, willy-nilly into what I can assume is a bunch of underwater caverns or something. They're just like, oh, we need to go stop them. Let's just jump out. Who's piloting the thing? GL gets out too.
Yeah. I find it funny that the Javelin is not only a shuttle, but it's a underwater submarine.
Because it's made by the goddamn Batman. He'll think of anything.
Okay, well, alright. That too.
I mean, if it flies through air and space, I don't see why it wouldn't go through water, because it's airtight, but...
I'm trying to think who wasn't in this episode.
We didn't see Hawkgirl or the Flash.
Oh, okay, well, maybe they're off having... maybe they're off having fast hawk sex.
Oh god, not an image I didn't need. But yeah, if they had the Flash in this episode, he would have been able to run down Deadshot like nothing. Like that entire chase scene, really when John first goes through the cement and, oh, here comes Deadshot, he stayed transparent and phased out, but he could have just become ultra hard and just, blown up the bike, grabbed Deadshot, chase would have been over. And then, obviously Deadshot gets away. Wonder Woman flies oh, I'll stop him, smashes the hell out of the ground, destroys a road, and the off chance that the shockwaves will go through, break through the barriers and, give him a small avalanche to get trapped in. Mm-hmm. Really? You couldn't have just flown right through and grabbed him? Really? Oh, I mean, it was great to see Arthur's motivation. I saw a lot of, they made comments about grip, strong hands, things like that. I'm like, oh, no subtle foreshadowing there. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we'll get to that once we get into the second part of the episode, so. And
something from the very beginning part of the episode, there's a whole bickering back and forth about, Green Lantern saying, no, you can't take the plutonium. Yep. He's a freaking space cop. I think he has a little bit more experience when dealing with situations like this than the other members of the Justice League. Because it's not just Earth he has to worry about.
True.
I don't know. But yeah, Aquaman has no diplomacy skills whatsoever.
No.
Which, I don't know if that's because he's an underwater king and there's not many people to be diplomatic with. I don't know. I think if Soups had been no, don't go to them as a king, if he had said, go to them as an equal, that might have been a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he might have taken it really personal, be like, okay, I'm your king, cut the crap, man. Where did Batman get the giant sea tank?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was he like, okay, Wayne Industries, deliver this here? Haha. I'm gonna just magically appear out of the shadow in a hospital that's normally well lit.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna sit here in this one shadow all day and hope that they come in here. And waiting. Yeah. Oh, what else? GL, Diana both need tactics intact. tact. I love Deadshot's snark.
Yeah.
Like, just the, oh gee, why would anyone hire a mercenary, a hitman, to kill someone? I can't imagine. They wanted me to do interior decorating. It was just... it was just pretty awesome to see Deadshot play up that way.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got for this episode.
All right.
I kept wondering why Diana wasn't talking to him like a dignitary, like, hey, I'm the queen of the queen's daughter of Themyscira, you know. And why exactly did Mira not take over when Arthur was presumed dead? Because she is the crowned queen of Atlantis. She should have.
Yeah, see, that's one thing I don't understand. Orm's always talking about the bloodline, and I guess you could argue the fact that Mira married into. I mean, obviously, I seriously doubt they would have Aquaman marry his sister, so she couldn't very well be blood. But I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's a little jarring considering I've been reading Blackest Night and she is this badass character in the comic.
Uh-huh. And
she's a Red Lantern for the foreseeable short future of this comic series.
Wow.
She's beating the crap out of people. True, this is happening earlier in that character's timeline, but to see someone that is such a strong character currently and then seeing her as this basic, wimp. My husband's been killed. Someone's trying to usurp the throne. I can't deal with this.
That's another thing you reminded me of just now. Orm wants to get in her pants.
Yeah, the entire episode, it's completely blatant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if his plan is, okay, I'm gonna, bump off my brother and then sleep with the wife. Very Hamlet. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's his way of trying to solidify his power for the throne or if he's just got the hot pants. I don't know.
The other thing is, Mira's design, she's basically, at least her legs, from her waist down, she's basically just wearing a green piece of silk, because I don't think she's got pants on underneath that. So she's pretty much naked.
Like a one piece.
Yeah. She's pretty much naked. So, going into part 2, the Justice League hurries to Atlantis to warn Aquaman, but they are ambushed and taken prisoner by Brack soldiers. Orm says that he plans to destroy the surface world to keep Atlantis safe and sentences them to death by drowning. They are held in a chamber filling with rising water, kept passive by headbands that make them unable to use their powers. Alright. I gotta stop here because one of my notes is on this one is, where is it? If the little headband things, if it's an electronic headband thing on their head, wouldn't they be electrocuted in the fucking water? Not drown? Because you see this, if you go back and you watch the episode and you watch that part, before the chamber fills up with water, you can see electrical current running in between the two on the left side of their head to the right side on those headbands. So wouldn't they be shocked all to hell like Mel Gibson was in What Women Want when he put the hairdryer in the bathtub?
You would think so.
Yeah, you would think so. What the hell's up with that?
If they're... Maybe it's supposed to signify something, but it just didn't come out right. I don't know. But
I don't know either. I know that we're nitpicking here with it, but I know it's just one of those things where you think it would make more sense if they got electrocuted by that instead of drowning.
You would think so.
Alright. Then Mira appears and knocks out their guards and frees them. She says she suspects her husband is still alive and asks for their help. Elsewhere on the ocean floor, Aquaman is chained to the side of a rock outcropping above a lava fissure. As he struggles to get free, Orm arrives and shows how he plans to ensure his succession to the throne. He has brought Aquaman's baby son and pins him to the rock beside Aquaman. With mocking goodbye, he uses a blast from the trident to send the outcropping on a slide down the cliff face towards the lava. Aquaman wrenches desperately at his chains, managing to free one arm, but the other is held fast. He grabs the sharp metal buckle from his belt and hacks at the chain, but without effect. As they draw nearer to the lava, his son cries for help. Aquaman raises the buckle and brings it down with a roar. That was fucking awesome.
Badass.
You knew immediately, forget about dealing with the chains, you knew as soon as he picked up that A that he's going to be slicing off his own hand.
Definitely.
At the Royal Palace, the League reports that Aquaman is nowhere to be found, and then he returns carrying their son. Mera embraces him and gasps in horror as his left hand is gone. Now, we do have to bring up that the Aquaman's son's blanket is red. Bruce Timm has said that they could not show the blood from his hand being cut off, but having the red blanket wrapped around his arm where his hand's supposed to be signified blood.
It was
a lot of people thought it was a bloody hand, but it was the blanket wrapped around the wound is what it was.
That's what they were going for. That's why they made the original, when we see the sun originally, why he's wrapped up in red.
Right.
Instead of another color that would signify royalty.
Right. While Aquaman is being fitted with a prosthetic, Batman calls from the surface and tells them that temperatures in the Arctic Circle are rising dramatically. If it continues, the ice cap could melt, causing catastrophic flooding all over the globe. Aquaman resurfaces from the operation and reveals the source of the trouble, the Doomsday Thermal Reactor. He admits that he had it built as a weapon of last resort if it ever came to war with the surface world, but he never armed it. Instead, Orm has done that using the nuclear material from the submarine and activated it. Aquaman swears to stop his brother, and the League insists on aiding him. At the Arctic Circle, the League is joined by Batman and the Batwing before clashing with Brack's forces. The Atlantean soldiers manage to hold the League at bay, and Aquaman breaks through, as do Lantern and Batman. Yeah. Aquaman riding Shamu. That was awesome. That was awesome. Hell, GL even says it. I saw it,
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it, yeah. So, in the Glacier Cavern, Aquaman reaches the reactor and confronts Orm, who has the advantage with the two good hands and the Royal Trident. While Aquaman engages him in a brutal fight, Lantern and Batman try to shut down the reactor. In a break in the fighting, Orm sees them and destroys the controls with the blast from his trident. Batman will have to shut it down manually. Lantern creates a body shield with his ring, and Batman climbs inside the reactor. Alright, there's something really wrong with that.
What's that?
Can you say Green Lantern construct condom over Batman?
Not what I was thinking, but my first thought was...
What were you thinking?
I was thinking, come on, this is Batman. He would not ask for a shield. He would just dive right in.
Yeah, you're right. But then again, at the same time, he would never get to where he was supposed to go, though.
True.
Okay. Alright. As
he wouldn't have some bat radiation protection?
Maybe it was Blight from Batman Beyond? I don't know. As they fight, Orm loses the trident, but critically wounds his brother with a knife. Suddenly, the ice beneath them crumbles, and Orm is left dangling off a ledge, with Aquaman standing over him. Orm begs for his brother's help, but Aquaman coldly picks up his trident. Orm loses his grip and falls with a scream into the abyss. Batman closes the manual shutoff valve, and the reactor shuts down. The world is safe. Yay. At Atlantis, Brack and his men plead that Orm forced them, and they would never have otherwise gone against their king. Aquaman coldly orders them locked up. With the League present, Aquaman reflects on his mistakes, but resolves to go on working for a peace between Atlantis and the surface world for the sake of his son. Okay. I know that there's a big debate on whether Superman can breathe in space. I know that Mike and James from World's Finest Podcast brought this up when they did the review of In Blackest Night, when he has the spacesuit.
Yep.
But Does he really need why the fuck does Superman need a mask for breathing underwater? He's Superman, damn it! What the hell? I don't think he's shown anywhere. I don't know. I may have to retract this statement, but I don't think he's shown ever in the rest of the series with a mask underwater.
I'm not sure, but at the same time, in the earlier part of the episode, earlier part of the story arc, anyway, John's swimming about without a mask at all.
The only two that have masks are Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yep. So I'm kind of like, okay, they're going to drown the person that can breathe underwater normally, apparently. Really? Really? Okay.
Well, I mean, I know John isn't. I know GL isn't in. He wasn't in one of his bubbles, but you could kind of argue that. And Bruce Timm, mentioned this in one of the special features that, one of the reasons why they wanted to use Jon Stewart for the Green Lantern in the show was diversity. But most of the Green Lanterns have that little domino mask, over their eyes, and they wanted John to be, well, I don't care if people know that I'm a Green Lantern. I'm proud of the fact that I'm a Green Lantern. So they wanted to give him some sort of look that would signify that he's been a Green Lantern for a long time, and that's why his eyes and his entire body fuses with the green glow. So you could argue that the green glow protects him from having to breathe underwater, but that's kind of sketchy at best.
Yeah, normally they would have the automatic overriding force field. Honestly, it should automatically come up, regardless of if he wants it to or not. So I'm kind of like, how come that didn't pop up? That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Giant toilet flushing when Mira releases in the tank. He's like... That was a combination of a toilet flushing and Donald Duck.
Donald Duck. I saw that and I'm like, okay, they're in a toilet.
Yeah. He cut off his own hand to save his son. And then, of course, we have Bloody Blanket.
And then we have GL going, oh, I told you he was crazy. I'm like, really? You're going to say that? What an asshole.
It just goes to show how they portrayed him in here. And as I said before, Aquaman riding the killer whale was awesome. And, of course, the first thing I thought of was, hello, Shamu, because Shamu is the most famous killer whale, yeah. Well, Free Willy, whatever. No. No. Even though I think it's cool that Batman got cloaked in the Green Lantern thing, like I said before, lantern condom, basically. But the problem with the whole GL Batman team up in this is, generally Batman is not a team player. He's even said so.
Right.
So why does when he come out when GL says, man, way to go, you did it, and Batman's like, no, we did it. I'm like, what the hell?
Okay, my thought was he's saying that just to make Green Lantern feel like he actually did something. Like, it's okay. No, you had a lot to do with this. Yeah, you used the ring. Yeah. Way to go. Team player. Yeah.
This two-parter, just to kind of give my own final thoughts here. This one, it's not one that I would put in to, like, if I was just going to watch an episode of Justice League, either season 1 or season 2, the two-parter, three-parters. This is not one I would watch. I just don't like them. I don't like these two episodes. I don't know. What about you?
I'm sorry, I got distracted for a moment.
Well, that needs to stop happening.
Yes, I'm sorry, it was something very important.
I'm sure it was.
Okay, do you want me to... What?
Overall thoughts on this
Overall
part.
thoughts. Okay, from what I said in the first episode, how we were talking about, how I said there's a definite separation going on between the prior incarnations of the Justice League and Super Friends, and what we've got now. Like, they've really gone the extra mile with this just to prove, hey, this isn't the guy that goes, oh, Wonder Woman, my ability to talk to fish is of no use. We definitely see Mr. Hardcore Arthur here, where, he's got the hook hand. He's chopping off his own limb to save his son.
Yeah.
And, the cold-heartedness of, no, you tried to take over my kingdom, you threatened me, you almost killed my son. No, I'm going to let you fall to your death. We're seeing a lot more of a segregation that they're attempting between the prior incarnation and what we've got now. And it really comes through in this episode.
Yeah, it does. I think it works. This version of Aquaman works well for just the Justice League cartoon, but it's not my favorite.
I have to disagree because I really do like this Aquaman. Honestly, I've read the comics way back when they started to come out, and he was Mr. insanely hairy barbarian dude with a hook hand that turned into a harpoon, and that's the Aquaman that I really dig. True, he's not in the comics right now, but I don't know. There's some things about the episode that really bothered me, like why are they attacking the Queen? She's still the sovereign queen of the nation. Why are they assaulting her?
Yeah, true.
And GL was just an absolute dick in this episode.
Yeah. He's a dick in a lot of the episodes in the first season. It kind of goes along with the same thing of, we brought it up last episode of Secret Origins podcast where, Superman throughout the first season is a wimp. Because as soon as he gets hit the first time, you don't see him for 20 minutes of the 30-minute, or 20 minutes of the 22-minute episode.
Oh, there were some things that popped out, like Batman's like, oh, can your ring protect me? Really? I mean, Green Lantern flies in space. How much radiation is in space?
Yeah, true.
It's not. And the entire time I was watching this, I'm like, oh my god, it's like global warming. Ah.
Yeah, this was a global warming episode. It's kind of like when I said in the first episode of the podcast about Secret Origins, did we really need Superman 4 retold in animation?
Yeah.
This is the same thing with the whole global warming issue.
And honestly, they've got these massive... they obviously have advanced technology. If they've got, that level of technology for the ships and the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
I find it really hard to believe that Arthur and the rest of his people would be like, okay, we're going to create something that's going to be a doomsday weapon that's going to raise and destroy the global ecosystems. Never mind what it's going to do to the oceans and potentially ruin our livelihoods. We're going to do this to get back at the Earth people. Yeah. That threw me. It's like, really? You're going to do something that's going to heat up the oceans, raise the ocean levels, completely destroy all the ecosystems. And that you're really going to build this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just... And see, the whole thing is, though, he said in the episode that it was built to destroy the surface world. So if you destroy the surface world, is the ocean even going to still be around? I seriously doubt it.
It seems so stupid that they would come up with something like that.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we are going to move on.
So this is how it ends. I've carried this around for years, waiting for just the right moment. But now that it's here, I almost feel a little let down. Almost. Any last requests?
Luthor, I have to know. Those weapons you sold to the terrorists,
How did I get them through customs? A gift here, a bribe there. When money talks, people listen. Like Stavros at the shipping company. Or Schneider, the Interpol agent who looked the other way.
Sounds like you're going to have company in prison.
It can't be! The kryptonite!
Won't protect you any longer.
No!
You're usually more careful, Lex. You slipped up.
And you're going down hard.
Mission accomplished.
So much for your image as the benevolent businessman. This is the end of an era.
The end of your era, maybe.
Why do they always run?
Lex? Lex!
Up next, we've got Injustice for All, Part 1. And a quick rundown of the plot is, Lex Luthor's criminal activities have finally exposed using a sting by which the Justice League, when Luthor lords it over Superman, rendered helplessly by Kryptonite, who turns out to be John Jones. In disguise, of course. With Batman and Green Lantern recording the conversation, Luthor flees the LexCorp Tower in a personal aircraft, which I'm not quite sure how that flew, but we'll leave that for suspense of disbelief.
Yes.
Superman flies after him.
You almost said Spider-Man, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Superman, not Spider-Man, flies after him, but Luthor has an unexpected seizure, and Superman must act quickly to keep him from crashing. Didn't really look like a seizure, but Luthor awakens in the hospital bed, and Superman and a doctor inform him that he is suffering from an incurable form of blood cancer caused by a long-term exposure to the kryptonite's radiation.
Now, I do have... Well, before you continue, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is not the first time that humans getting cancer was brought up in the DC animated universe, because going back, and I know you haven't seen it yet, but you really need to look it up on YouTube, World's Finest, or the Batman and Superman movie, that 3-part Superman the Animated Series episode, the Jade Dragon, which was basically a giant dragon made of kryptonite. It had been, passed down through generation of some emperor in China or something, and they all died from having been exposed to it for a long period of time. So, kryptonite can kill humans.
I'm surprised Luthor didn't see that originally when he was doing research on it, because you'd think he would come up with something like that.
Very true.
Okay, where was I?
The blood cancer.
Right, so Luthor loses interest in defending his case, and so he is sent to prison. He convinces the Ultra-Humanite, who occupies the next cell to him, to help him escape in exchange for a large sum of money. Once free, he summons a group of other supercriminals, Cheetah, Copperhead, the Shade, Solomon Grundy, and Star Sapphire for one purpose, to destroy the League. In their first attack, they lure the Justice League into a trap, but quickly find that the League is too well organized for them to overcome. Both sides suffer one casualty. Batman is wounded by Copperhead's venom, while Copperhead is taken captive. While Luthor is ranting about the gang's failure, the Joker appears. Luthor orders him out, but the Joker says they need him, as he is the one who knows Batman best. To demonstrate, he plucks a bat-shaped homing device off of Luthor. Refusing to rest after being cured of the venom for fear of being considered the weakest among a team of superpowered beings, Batman follows the signal to the gang's hideout, but is ambushed and knocked out. Thoughts?
Yes, thoughts. Lex is... Okay, outside of, Brainiac and Darkseid, Lex is Superman's mortal enemy. Why the hell is Superman feeling sorry for him? He's like...
Superman's a very compassionate person.
I understand that. But, I don't know.
And he is the type of person that would try to... If he sees anybody in danger, or even someone that he doesn't like that could potentially die, he would be the person to try to save them.
But the thing is, though, even ever since all these shows are connected, ever since Superman the Animated Series, he has always had a grudge against Luthor for, all the stuff that he's done and all the stuff that he has supposedly done. Why all of a sudden, even if he is dying, I mean, I'm not saying Superman has to be like, oh, what the fuck, Luthor, I'm not going to save you, but I mean, just the way it came off, he's like, Lex, are you okay, buddy? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck kind of kryptonite pipe are you smoking?
I don't know. He's the Boy Scout. He's going to try to help you.
Well, that changes rapidly as these seasons progress, though.
Yes.
Was the Ultra Humanite from Gorilla City?
I don't know. This is the first episode that I've ever actually heard of him.
Yeah. And I looked at the DCAU wiki on this, and it didn't mention anything in this episode synopsis, and maybe it would mention it on his character page, but I didn't look at that. How the hell does the Humanite have an electroplate on the floor to shock the guards? That makes no sense.
It's one of the minor perks.
Yeah, minor perks that you only use once in a while. Uh-huh. Oh, good lord.
Apparently he's an old supervillain of Superman.
True. I know Lex is rich, rich beyond rich, but how the hell did he get a dynamite package in prison in such a short period of time? Because from the time that he crosses the wires to break into Humanite's TV signal to the time Humanite lets him out of the cage, or the cell, he has this package of dynamite. The guards didn't search him for that?
Okay, my thoughts are... Well, okay, first, let me say that I think it's highly unlikely that he would get that so rapidly after being thrown in jail for embezzlement and bribery of higher officials.
Exactly.
But, that being said, he is uber rich, so he probably did pay some people, and my thoughts are that he had that in the first place before he contacted Ultra Humanite, so he had the means to get out, but he wanted to have some other things in place so that he had a safe way out and use that as a backup.
Right.
Like, okay, I could blow the doors out, but it'd be much easier to have Ultra Humanite just leap me out and then use this as a diversion.
Yeah, that's true. I hate the new Batmobile design.
See, they all kind of look the same to me, so I'm not really...
No. If you go back, and the reason why I hate the Batmobile design in Justice League, if you go back to Batman the Animated Series, and you look at that is pretty much modeled after the 1989 film. This Batmobile design, I don't know what it's modeled after, because it's completely different. This is the first villain team-up episode of Justice League.
Yes, it is.
The Batarang hit Star Sapphire right in the forehead. Ow. Now, I'm going to...
Mind you, it's also right in the Star Sapphire itself, so I'm kind of like, what, that didn't, depower her at all?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to have to go back and look, and of course you can probably give more on this, but I've heard I don't think it's rumors, I've just read somewhere that also Carol Danvers was Star Sapphire. I'm wondering if the JL version of Star Sapphire is supposed to be Carol Danvers.
That would make sense.
Okay.
That does look like her. Honestly, if that is Carol Danvers, I'm kind of confused as to why she would want money.
Yeah, true.
Because she's richer than anything, and she's in charge of her own air company.
Yeah,
so
aerospace.
I'm kind of like, what would be her motivation for this?
Yeah, so it's probably not her.
Something else that kind of bothered me is he says that Lex says that these are the best at what they do, and I'm thinking, really, Lex? You've got more money than dirt at this point. Why would you choose these guys? Because obviously, they're going to be, they're not the highest tier villains in the world. Like, you could have bribed some more people. You get the Joker eventually, but is he saying this to try to stroke their egos a bit and get them more compliant?
Probably.
I mean, we do have Cheetah to counteract Wonder Woman, who they are nemesis.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm a little confused as to, is he just saying that so that he can try to get some power behind him that he's paying for, and he doesn't have to.
Well, that's the whole plot of the thing, though. He keeps bribing them and keeps like every time they screw up and he yells at them and they say, "Oh, well, fuck you, Lex. We're not going to do shit for you anymore." He's like, "Oh, I'll double, I'll triple, I'll quadruple," and that's the whole underlying premise between Lex and them is he's just going to keep paying them more money as long as they stick around.
But honestly, when I think about Lex Luthor, I do think frugal businessman. So I'm like, okay, is he going for what he knows is going to be budgetary okay, because they're going to renege and want some more money for all the crap?
No, he's not going through. He is, as you said in the synopsis, this pretty much breaks Lex as a businessman. This episode, this two-parter pretty much shows him as an all-and-out villain. He pretty much drops the businessman thing.
But at the same time, you can't just shut that off of someone's personality.
True.
They're always going to have that mentality.
Well, right. No, I'm not saying the personality part. I'm saying as far as how he's portrayed throughout the rest of Justice League until the end. For the most part, he is I guess you could call him a super villain. Especially once he goes Brainiac. But Stryker's prison. Is it supposed to be Rikers Island from New York?
I'm not sure. That would make sense.
That would make sense. It would also give more insight as to where Metropolis is, whether it's New York or New Jersey or whatever. And of course, my last note is the first appearance of the Joker in the Justice League.
Oh, and it was so good too.
Yeah.
Oh, there were some great lines in this too, like, "Oh, Lex Luthor, the plot."
Yeah,
I'm like, Shade. Really? That was great, Shade. And then Hawkgirl and Batman. Like, okay, the whole scene where they're trying to save the people in the kid in the fiery building, and first thought is, okay, the kid's in there, the dad's outside. What exactly happened, and how come the dad didn't grab the kid? But when Batman gets the girl, and the girl's like, "Oh, I'm scared," and he's all like, "No, don't be." I'm like, really? You're not cute and fuzzy, Batman, really. You're the embodiment of fear in Gotham.
All right, well, I can kind of counteract that. I can kind of explain that away. And yes, you are correct about he's supposed to put fear into the hearts of criminals in Gotham and around the world. But however old the little girl was, and I will bring this up constantly throughout this show, one of the greatest things about the fact that Kevin Conroy has voiced Batman for over 10 years now, for the most part, he has a distinct Bruce Wayne voice and a distinct Batman voice, where he's all calm and soothing as Bruce, and then when he puts that mask on, "I'm Batman and you're gonna shit your pants," you know. Of course, obviously, I can't mimic Kevin Conroy, and not that I would try, but, his voice softens when he talks to her, and I think that's him delving into his childhood where, his parents got killed. So he doesn't want to see her scared, and he wants to protect her. Granted, it's kind of against the Batman character, but it works for the show, I think. I think it works for that portion of this episode.
And then something that the synopsis didn't cover was they're in that fiery building, but Hawkgirl comes in and saves them. And she's like, normally people say thank you for me saving them. And Batman's like, well, normally I'm not saved.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a great line.
Yes, Batman has a lot of great lines throughout the entire series. And then, like I said before, the Joker arrives and it's like, "Lexi, kid, you need me around because I know how the Bat thinks."
And it's so true.
Yes.
And, oh god, what was it? There was a recent comic series that was a big crossover arc, and the Joker was really, really, really pissed off because they were getting all the supervillains in for some giant supervillain group, and nobody wanted Joker. And the entire time he's like, how come nobody wants me? And someone finally said, don't you know that everyone thinks the Joker's too wild? At that point, Joker's killing like villains left and right. But, on the good side though, Luthor did take him in, and if this was going with the character of the Joker, if he didn't take him in, there would have been a lot more problems.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But the thing that kind of bothered me was the Joker knocked out Solomon Grundy with some knockout gas. Really, you need knockout gas to kill a zombie? What?
Yeah, that didn't
Why
make
does
sense.
Solomon need to breathe?
Oh, I need to point something out about Grundy. I never knew this. I don't know if people know this at all. I was looking on the DCAU wiki for this episode because I was looking for different like trivia things and everything else. You know who voices Grundy?
Who?
Mark Hamill.
Oh,
But
no
he is
way.
uncredited as doing so.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. So is that it for part one?
I believe that's it for part one. What else? Oh, we did see that Hawkgirl took out Solomon Grundy in the huge fight, and that could be a little prelude to later on episodes when the two do continue on their pseudo relationship and connection between each other.
Yeah. Bird knows me like bird knows.
So, shall we go into part two?
Yes, sir.
Okay, part two. So the synopsis for this is Batman first appears encased in full-body titanium restraints and a stasis field shielding him from John's telepathy. With various members of the gang taking turns to guard him, Luthor takes his utility belt to the lab. Superman and the Flash interrogate Copperhead in jail. He refuses to talk, and when Superman physically threatens him, Copperhead mocks him by calling him a Boy Scout and comparing him to a school bully. As Copperhead is taken back to his cell, having revealed nothing, Superman wonders aloud, how does Batman do it?
Which I find very, very jarring, because, and I don't know how much you've seen of Superman the animated series. I know you said you haven't seen The World's Finest, the three-parter. There's an episode of Superman the animated series where Bruce Timm and them were doing the new Batman adventures and Superman at the same time.
Wow.
So they crossed over the shows, and they did an episode called Nighttime, where Bruce / Batman disappears, and nobody knows where he is, and Superman has to take over being Batman until to help Robin find him. So why the hell would Superman ask in this, how does Batman do it when it comes to interrogations, when he pretended he was Batman for another 22-minute episode, 2 or 3 years previous to this episode? I mean, come on, Superman. You're not fucking brain dead. You're not a moron. You're not Joe Dirt. There is no part. There is no business in the front, party in the back.
No, there was a time when he did have that mullet.
Not in this show.
True, but the comics.
Okay. All right. Well, you are the comic guru here, so I agree. Continue. You were at
how does Batman do it?
Yeah.
In his cell, Batman works his magic on Cheetah, his current guard. He listens with sympathy bleh, to her story on how she was forced to use experimental genetic techniques on herself, and feeling a rush of attraction, she kisses him. Luthor manages to disable the anti-theft devices in the utility belt, and finds a remote control entry for the watchtower. Shade, Sapphire, and Grundy infiltrate the tower, knock out Jean, and plant a bomb. On Earth, Luthor has another seizure, and afraid that he won't live long enough to even see his revenge, he asks for help. Humanite agrees, for an extra fee.
Mm-hmm.
The League returns to the tower, and while they're ministering to Jean, someone telephones the tower and warns them about the bomb. Conducting a hurried search, they manage to find it, and the Flash throws it into space seconds before it explodes. Seeing his plan has failed, Luthor then takes out his anger on the gang, who decide to quit. He only manages to keep them around by offering triple their pay.
Now, I do have to interrupt you here because there is one thing that the synopsis does not mention. Before the whole, after the whole Cheetah thing,
she does look really dejected at one point.
Right, but I'm not talking about Cheetah. Joker comes in with a VHS and TV and whatnot and said,
a bag of popcorn.
A box of popcorn. He's like, it's time to watch the show. Your friends are going to go bye-bye, but there's a sequel to this because after they're gone, I get you.
which is insanely creepy, but very cool.
Yes. So they tripled the pay.
Right. So in the cell, the Joker is guarding Batman. He is also disappointed to see that the plot failed, but he decides to disobey Luthor's orders and kill Batman anyway. Fortunately, Grundy arrives and forces the Joker away. Batman thanks him and asks him for a glass of water. Grundy gives it to him, and Batman spits it into the stasis field device and causes the short circuit. Immediately, Jean knows where he is.
Yes.
In another part of the hideout, Humanite devises a treatment that temporarily stabilizes Luthor's condition, which involves encasing his chest in a containment suit. I wish cancer worked this way. Grundy comes running to tell him that the League is on their way. Before preparing their last ambush, Luthor says he needs to expose the traitor who tipped them off to the League. He checks his surveillance videos and sees Cheetah kissing Batman. Grundy drags her away, even as she screams that she's innocent.
So you mentioned to me before we started this in Skype, you wrote, Batman is a cat pimp, and the first thing I thought was...
Oh my god, yes.
First thing I thought was, he's good with pussy.
Wow. Okay.
Well, it relates to cats.
True. The cat and the bat phenomenon, I can see. God. I'm trying to think, who else? I'm trying to think about any other female cat characters. Because we're not touching Catman.
No. No.
I can't think of any other female cat DC characters off the top of my head.
I can't. Between Catwoman and Cheetah, I can't either.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, the League enters the hideout and attacks. They seem to be winning, but Luthor appears in his armored battlesuit that harnesses the kryptonite radiation in his body that has been absorbed. He's about to use it to kill Superman, but Humanite disables him and surrenders, revealing himself to be the traitor. The Joker decides to run, but not before finishing Batman off. He runs back into the cell and finds that Batman has already freed himself from the restraints. He says, I could have escaped at any time before knocking out the Joker.
You're despicable.
Yes. If any other character in this series can pull off the really cartoony theme, it would have to be him and the Creeper.
Yeah.
But, anyway, Luthor and the gang are taken into custody. Humanite asks Batman if he'll keep his end of the bargain. Batman agrees, double what Luthor is paying. It seems that he suborned Humanite while he was being guarded. Back in Stryker's Island, Luthor pounds on the wall of his cell, yelling at Humanite that he'll pay for his treachery. Humanite, who is watching an opera program on public broadcasting, serenely ignores him. The program concludes that this program was made possible by the gift of the Ultra Humanite and viewers like you. That was a great ending.
Yes, it was. I honestly don't... I started... This is one of those episodes where I'm going to be watching it, and while I really want to take notes, I just end up watching it because I like it so damn much.
Yes.
And this is one of them. I have 4 notes. First note. The Joker taps Lex's gun. Could that be subliminal for touch my nipple? Because if you look at the Lex Luthor design where his gun is, it's right over his left breast, or where his left breast would be. And Joker just takes his long ass fingernail and taps the barrel of the gun.
Oh God! I noticed an animation error where he's tapping it at first, and then when they zoom out to another shot, he's just tapping his chest, right where the gun should have been.
Oh.
So there you go. There's your Luthor nipple theory.
There you go. Batman gets the water. Grundy, you fool. Which, it's really not that much of a stretch to say Grundy is a fool. He is an undead zombie, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
I believe this marks the first time that any villains get into the Watchtower in this cartoon.
I believe you are right.
And last one is Humanite ensures his prison lifestyle remains in glory, as well as infuriating Lex.
This is true, because in the beginning of the story arc, he's like, well, what do I need money for? Honestly, I've got everything that I need right here.
Yep.
I've got my culture channel. I've got my computers. I've got my TV. I get my Salisbury steak.
No, he was disgusted at that. He's like, Salisbury steak? Really? But, one thing, going back to that first episode, actually, going back to the first part of the two-parter, when they pan over what all you're just saying that he has, that keyboard is way too small for his hands.
He handpicks.
Oh, good. Or he uses a pen or a pencil. What are your thoughts on?
Okay, so Batman is a psychological master.
Mm-hmm.
He's played almost every character off one another.
Right.
Like, he knows that Luthor's going to sit there and fiddle around with his belt. He makes everyone think that he's completely unable to escape when he could get out at any time.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to figure out what's going on. He psychologically manipulates Cheetah into lust. He gets Inhumanite and Grundy to fight with each other. He manipulates Grundy to give him a thing of water whenever he wants so he can escape.
Mm-hmm.
The only person that he wasn't manipulating was Shade and Sapphire.
That's because they weren't really around. I mean, they were up there looking after Luthor.
And if they had come down, he would have manipulated them too. This episode just illustrated how superb he is at the criminal mindset,
mm-hmm.
and why the Joker, who is showing signs of so many different psychoses, but no significant one,
right?
That is for sure why they can counterplay off each other so well. But other than that, Batman and cats, he's a major player.
Yep.
That or he just has like a furry fetish. And the thing of Jean getting knocked out so easy. Like, okay, the lights are going out. His first instinct isn't to go transparent or super hard or something.
I don't think he ever goes... I know this is kind of weird saying super hard, but I don't think he ever goes super hard in this series. They don't really... There's a lot of things that I've seen in other comic book DVDs and stuff like that, like Justice League, New Frontier. There's a lot of things about J'onn J'onz's character that they don't really touch on. They kind of touch on the fact that his weakness is fire or the color yellow, but not really.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him harden in this entire cartoon. I've seen him phase and shapeshift.
I thought in the first story arc, like the Secret Origins, I thought that there was a point where he became uber hard and something smashed into him.
I don't remember. I'm not sure.
What else? See, right, a gold blinking briefcase.
Yeah.
That isn't very well hidden. And they can't find it. Oh my god.
And
they're not going to be like, oh, what's this briefcase? Did Santa come? It's right out in the jet bay. No one seems to notice this.
Well, another thing, the poor part about that is, though, they were in the landing bay. Superman didn't look around with his X-ray vision. And then you have to have GL use the ring to track the thermal pattern.
Well, it's in the same key of, okay, they've got the Flash and he's looking for Ultra Humanite and Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the Flash, who's like, oh, I found the bomb. Bam, here. Like, he really couldn't find them. What was he looking at? That entire part of the first episode. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to look up some girls' skirts. They'll never notice.
Probably.
I mean, really? I don't know. It just kind of irked me.
Yeah. So, I think we are going to move on.
You look more radiant than ever. No. Gone, Mother? I didn't go anywhere. I was in my room. Alone. For 8 months. Definitely not. The world was in peril. Would you have me stand by and do nothing? Hera, give me strength. Home at last. What? Sisters! Philippus, Antiope! By the goddess. Mother. Mother! Mother! No! Forgive me. I should have been here to protect you. I should have...
And finally up today is the two-parter Paradise Lost. To synopsize this one, after helping Superman to rescue a family during a hurricane, Diana decides that she has been away from Themyscira for too long. She travels back to the island, only to find that all her Amazon sisters have been turned to stone, including her mother, Hippolyta. Diana also discovers sorcerer Felix Faust, who blackmails her into gathering certain artifacts for him. He claims that if she brings the artifacts to him, he will restore the Amazons. Believing she has no other choice, Diana agrees. During Diana's search for the first artifact, Diana is confronted by Superman. She reluctantly explains the situation to him, and he, along with Flash, Jean, Batman volunteer to help Diana. Superman, Flash, and Jean collect the artifacts, facing several protective spells and magical guardians along the way. Batman researches Faust's background and finds that he was a respected professor of archaeology until he lost his position for dabbling in black magic. Diana realizes that Faust is working under the direction of Hades, the lord of the underworld, Tartarus. She explains that her mother had a brief affair with God before he was banished. The gate to Tartarus is located beneath Themyscira, and the artifacts form a key that will open it. Despite this information, Diana insists that she has no choice but to give Faust the key in order to free her mother and sisters. The other League members insist on accompanying her, and she reluctantly agrees. After delivering the key, Faust attempts to betray Diana. The four other League members reveal themselves, but Faust restores Hippolyta to life, but then kidnaps her and chains her. Oh, wait, I gotta stop. Because... Okay, I know a lot of the wiki pages, both Wikipedia.org and other wikis that are created, it's user-generated. The reason why the second part of Paradise Lost Part 2 doesn't have a synopsis on the DCAU wiki is because they put it all in Part 1. So I don't actually remember where the hell Part 1 ends. I believe it's... I don't know. So we're just going to talk about it as one...
Up to this point?
Yeah, I'm just going to finish the synopsis and we'll just talk about the
overarching story?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So...
We're dealing with the wrong deities. If you're talking about Jesus Christ, we're talking about Hades.
Yeah, I know. Faust attempts to betray Diana. The four other League members reveal themselves, but Faust restores Hippolyta to life, but then kidnaps her and chains her out front of the gate as it is opened. Hades appears, and Faust demands what Hades has promised him in return for his help, ultimate knowledge. Smiling, Hades touches Faust, who begins to age rapidly and scream in terrible pain. As Hades explains, ultimately pain and suffering are all any mortal will know. Wonder Woman and the League appear, freeing Hippolyta and fighting against Hades and his demonic magic, which he uses to summon the army of skeletons to battle the heroes. By a slim margin, Diana manages to destroy the key, causing the gate to close. It suck Hades back and his minions back to Tartarus, including Faust. Hades also attempts to drag Hippolyta with him, but Diana is able to pull her mother free before the gates close. With Faust's entry into Tartarus, his spell on the Amazons is broken. The victory turns bittersweet. Hippolyta honors Superman, Jean, Flash and Batman for their help, naming them heroes of Themyscira. However, because Diana broke the sacred law by bringing men to the island, Hippolyta has no choice but to exile Diana from Themyscira. Though shaken by her mother's decree, Diana accepts her ruling and departs from Themyscira with the other League members. Okay.
Poor Diana.
Yeah. First note, Hurricane Gardner. Is that I believe that's a comic book reference, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I don't think
it's referencing Guy Gardner, is it?
It might be referencing his brother, who was a cop but also was a football player at one point.
Oh. I thought, wait, who's the Green Lantern?
Guy Gardner.
Okay, that's what I thought. In the hurricane scene with the little girl, Wonder Woman goes, "I've got you, little sister." And the little girl says, "You're not my sister." I know this is the way Wonder Woman talks, but really, if a stranger came to me claiming they were family, I'd say the exact same thing.
Okay, I will say that there's... I don't see how that would be any different than someone saying, "I got you, bro," or...
No, I understand that, but...
I don't want to say this as politically correct as possible, but the 1970s viewpoint of African American communism, where everyone was a brother or sister or family. At that point, it would be okay, but I'm not sure. It's a cultural thing. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right, and that's fine, but just the way I grew up, because I grew up in southeastern Massachusetts, even though unfortunately I'm in Kentucky now, there was one black family in our entire neighborhood, and we knew, when I grew up, I was a dare kid. I knew not to talk to strangers. If I didn't know somebody, it's not like down here in the South, where everybody says hello to everybody. I'm like, what, I just kind of like nod my head. I don't say, if I don't know the person, I won't say shit to them.
Right.
That's just the way I am. It's the way I've always been. I had to, when I wrote this next note, I had to invoke Scooby-Doo. I was like, "Rut-row, Raggy, there's a man on the island." And then the fight between Superman and Wonder Woman. I know that they are out of the entire league, outside, like, you can set GL aside, but they are the two strongest out of the entire league as far as physical strength. But,
I could argue that, but...
Okay, but I'm saying out of the 7 that are there, as far as physical brute strength, Superman and Wonder Woman, to me anyway, it seems like they are the strongest. They're battling each other as monsters? That's just lame. The monsters didn't even look cool. It's lame.
I agree.
God. What the hell else was I going to bring up? Crap. I don't know. What do you have?
Well, about them being the strongest, people tend to forget that John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, is also as strong as Superman, physically. It is nice to see Hades actually shown as a badass in comparison to the Wonder Woman release that came out.
Yeah.
Because now when he's just this fat slob, I'm like, that is not the god of the Greek god of death. No. So we got it on with Hippolyta. Okay. What happened with the whole thing with Persephone? I mean, are they kind of glazing over that? But mind you, I'm also like a Greek mythology, like Greek reconstructionist, so I'm kind of like, oh, really? Okay. Way to really treat those deities with respect. Woo. God, what else? There was, like, you could definitely feel the heartbreak going on with Diana, because if you're in a point of authority in a family like that,
mm-hmm.
you cannot bend the rules as you see fit. So Hippolyta's really like, I don't want to do this, but I have to follow the laws. Because if she doesn't follow those laws,
Zeus is going to come down with the trident or something.
Oh, who was it? Athena, I think?
Yeah.
Or Hera? Hera.
Yeah.
Hera would have set that entire situation up, but in that position, in that type of culture, she could not bend the rules for that and expect the people to actually keep following her. They would depose her as ruler of the kingdom.
Right.
So it was. I understand that the Flash is trying to back her up, going, "Hey, this isn't right. We just saved your butts.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her, you guys wouldn't be around." But Batman's the one that sit there and is trying to shut the Flash up, going, "This is not easy for her. It's not easy to lose your family. She has no choice of coming back.
Right.
Shut up, Flash."
Yeah, exactly.
I am kind of curious, though, as to what would turn them all into stone. Because if...
It was the Medusa medallion.
Okay, I understand that. The original origin of the Amazons that I know of from when I started to read comics was they were all women that were killed previously through abuse or war or things like that, and the gods made new stone bodies for them and instilled their souls into it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, okay, are they severing the soul and body connection, or is there something else?
I honestly don't know.
If that's the case, that's some really serious power that Faust was throwing around. If he can negate what the gods have done. But,
right, exactly. And as far as part 2, a couple of my notes, I only took 2 notes for part 2 because, I don't know, I started I like part 2 better than part 1, but...
there's a lot more action to it.
Yeah, overall, I don't like either of the episodes overall. Again, these aren't ones that I would just, pop in to watch. My 2 notes are both about Flash. When Flash runs really, really fast and trips up on something, it's funny the way he can't stop himself. He's the fastest man alive, and he can't stop really, really fast. That's ridiculous. And then he ends up, tumbling 6 feet or, 6 yards away or whatever. And the other one was, where the hell did Flash keep the snake-headed doohickey? There are no pockets in his costume.
He stuck it in his ring, where he puts his,
This is not the Barry Allen Flash. This is the Wally West Flash. I don't think there was no ring costume for this one.
Aw. Well, it was a thought.
Yeah, it was a thought. Do you have anything else you want to say about this one?
Not really. I was kind of expecting there to be more to, like, the god interference, like, oh, Hades is doing something.
Right.
As much as Wonder Woman's calling Hera for strength, like, oh, mother, give me strength. Oh, Hera. Oh, mother, I've been stuck in my room for the past 6 months. Oh, Hera, give me strength. Honestly, I would have liked Hera to show up.
Susan Eisenberg does not. She does an excellent job voicing Wonder Woman. Susan Eisenberg does, but the whole every time she says "Hera, give me strength" or "Hera, help them," it's not very convincing.
True.
All right. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. We are going to go into the information that you need to find out where our show is, and so I'll see you in a minute.
Whoopsie, time to run. But there's still one unfinished piece of business. What? No fair! How'd you get free?
I could have escaped any time, but I thought I'd stick around to keep an eye on you clowns.
You're despicable.
This is the quote of episode 2.
Let me give you one word of advice.
Okay. I'll tell.
What did he say?
You don't want to know.
Thank you for joining us here on the Secret Origins podcast. There are several ways to get in contact with us to leave feedback for the show. The first is you can stop by GeekCastRadio.com. Find all the other podcasts there. You can stop by PredaconEmpire.com/Nexus. Those are our forums. And the third is you can leave the show feedback in iTunes. We now have a voicemail line. Call us and leave us your thoughts on each episode. Be sure to say what show you're leaving a message for and your name. The number is 502-526-5821. You can also follow us on Twitter. The show name there is Secret Origins. Mine is TFG1Mike. And what is your Twitter?
Caminiti Style, CAMINITISTYLE.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Secret Origins podcast. Wish you'll join us next time when we will be reviewing 3 more stories from Justice League Season 1. Those being War World, The Brave and the Bold, and Fury. For now, I am TFG1 Michael with
Lupus Convoy.
See you next time. Thank you for listening.